Alright, so UFC 310 just concluded, and my face cam has broken, so I'm doing something a little different this time around, and probably for the future, at least for now. And I'm just gonna put a PNG of me in the bottom right, so you can look at my glorious face, my ginger hair, its luscious length, everything like that, just to give this video a little bit more character. But regardless, 310 is concluded, and now we are moving on to Covington versus Buckley. Don't remember the number of the fight night, but I'm going to go through my picks and predictions. Quick disclaimer, I don't gamble, I don't bet on these fights, I don't bet on anything in general. And I just basically make my picks and prediction based off passion, off of watching the sport for a long time, and being addicted to this sport like it's heroin in my veins. But with all that being said, let's get into the picks and predictions, and I apologize in advance for my face cam breaking. It is what it is, you know? But yeah, anyways, moving on. So, oh, for fuck's sakes, now we got a women's fight. Oh my god. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't even looked at this card yet, so I kind of made it a surprise. Yeah, of course they would have a shit break in their very first fight, eh? So, if you don't know, I do this really high-tech level way to sort of figure out which woman I'm going with, and typically the way I do it is tails is on the left, heads is on the right. I believe it's been a little bit since I've done this high-tech method, but we're gonna flip a coin here, and so tails is left. That's what I gotta remember. So we're going with, okay, we're going with Pierre Rodriguez versus Knutson. Knutson is 8-0, and she's about to get fraud checked. Reach disadvantage, you know, you don't like to see that. Same height, you know. Pierre Rodriguez, probably more experienced, kind of. Disqualification, eh? Jesus. Jesus Christ. We're really scraping the bottom of the barrel here, aren't we, for the final end of the year. What a closing opener we have. Closing card opener we got here. So she beat Julia, whoever the fuck that is. All right. So yeah, I'm going with the coin, and I'm going with Pierre Rodriguez. Yeah, she just has longer reach. I don't care. Who cares? Moving on, we have Davy Grant versus Ramon Taveras. Now, Davy Grant's a good guy, but he is getting old now. And Ramon Taveras, if I'm not mistaken, is coming off that win against Sergey Saidi. That was a impressive looking fight. Now, Sergey Saidi isn't like all that, but at least I think this was like that weird trilogy match or whatever going on, because they fought previously either on the Contender Series or coming up. But regardless, I think I'm just going to go with Ramon Taveras. I think it's kind of hard, because I do think Davy Grant is the better fighter. I believe this is the guy who has, like, his dad in his corner and everything, too. But, like, I just think he's getting a little too old. And it's a little too... You're not really doing anything anymore, you know? Like, you've been around for a little bit, we appreciate him, but, like, you know, you're losing to Daniel Marcos, you know, beating a Sun Sao, I guess, but, like, in 2023, you know? Beating, fucking, whoever the fuck that is, like, yeah, I don't know, you know? He lost to Adrian Yanez. Yanez, sorry, not Yanez. Was that Yanez? Oh my god, it was. Oh shit. Ooh, yeah, that's not looking good. Losing to Chito Vera. Like, by this... Yeah, like, I think Davy Grant is going to be the higher level fighter, but I just think he's too old, and he's going to have just the age disadvantage in the fight. I think Ramon Taveras is just going to be a little bit faster every round, land a little bit more every round. Like, if Chito Vera is winning a decision against you, anyone can win a decision against you. It is what it is, you know? Especially in bantamweight. Bantamweight skill is a real thing. I do think Ramon Taveras isn't that bad. I don't think he's like a ranked bantamweight, but I don't think he's like unranked bum who can't beat a Davy Grant, you know? I think Ramon Taveras gets it done. Probably by decision, might get a KO, because Ramon Taveras, I think, has some decent knockouts on his record, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go to Sure Dogs real quick. If you don't know, I do all my research live here. Yeah, yeah, he's got decent knockouts. Yeah. Against Cortavius, we like to see that, because Cortavius was being picked against that other guy that Cortavius just fought. Can't remember his name, don't really care. Lost by KO, but I don't think, like, I don't know. I think Taveras is just going to be a little faster, and he's going to at least have, like, the power advantage. Davy Grant at 38, I just don't think has it anymore. Anyways, moving on. We have, oh my god, Jamie Lynn Horth versus Miranda Maverick. So I'm going with Miranda Maverick. Wow, Jamie Lynn Horth just, she's getting too up there in age, Miranda Maverick, she's got some tread on the tires at a young age. You like to see that. She's the shorter girl, doesn't have that much of a reach disadvantage, and at the end of the day, it's a women's fight. No one cares. Moving on, we have Miles Johns versus Felipe Lima. Now, this is kind of an interesting one. Yeah, he submitted Muhammad Naimov, eh? That's, it's pretty good getting an OV submission on your record, but Miles Johns is really good. Like, really, really good, He does get caught up doing the same thing a lot, like, over and over again, but he is good. Dan Argueta, is not, like, a great draw to have. I do think Miles Johns is good. I'm gonna ride with Johns still. I think Johns probably gets this one done by decision. I just think Johns is trying a lot more now in his career than he ever has, and I think Felipe Lima, well, he's probably like still trying to be something. I'm not seeing too much from Lima where I'm like, oh wow, this guy's a dominant grappler. Oh wow, this guy's a crazy striker, He's got decent grappling, pretty good grappling, but I think Miles Johns has pretty good takedown defense. And I think Miles Johns has probably the better striking of the two, and he's more tested. I'm going with Miles Johns. I think Felipe Lima needs some time in the oven a little bit more. But yeah, moving on, we have, Miles Johns, probably by a decision. I'd say a comfortable decision. Probably 30-27. That'd be my guess. Or my prediction. Moving on, we have Sean Woodson versus Fernando Padilla. Is this guy the guy I'm thinking of? No, he's not the guy I was thinking of. Who am I thinking of? Oh, okay. Well, doesn't matter. He lost to a Canadian in Juliana Rosa, or not Juliana Rosa, Kyler Phillips. My bad. Yeah. Regardless. Yeah, losing to Kyler Phillips within the last 5 years is just like, you are shit. Sean Woodson is like a genetic alien freak looking thing. Literally looks like he's straight from like an alien movie. But Alien Romulus, he kind of looks like that fucking whatever that was, Skinwalker at the end. If you haven't watched it, I just spoiled it for you. It is what it is. But yeah, Sean Woodson. I'm going with Sean Woodson. I think Sean Woodson is a good boxer, and I think this is probably going to be a stand-up fight for most of it. And I think Sean Woodson is just like he's just a genetic freak. Like, he's pretty tall. He's like 6'1", 6'3", something like that. And then he also has the weird hand movement that he does. He looks like a fucking Mr. Mime out there from Pokemon. It's really weird watching the guy fight, but I think he'll probably get it done. Now, Sean Woodson doesn't have the greatest chin, obviously, because he is a genetic freak. So, he could get chinned, but am I trusting Padilla to chin him if Charles Jourdain couldn't find it? Probably not, Probably not. So, I'm gonna go with, Sean Woodson. I think Sean Woodson gets it done probably by another 30-27. This card isn't looking too crazy, to be honest with you. But yeah, I'm going to go Sean Woodson 30-27. Pretty clear. I think it's going to be like every round he's just ahead. Moving on, we have Joel Alvarez versus Drakkar Klose. I'm actually going to go with Drakkar Klose. Drakkar Klose isn't bad. Joel Alvarez is beating, like, decent level comp, like Els Brenner, knocking him out when Els Brenner is, like, considered to be really tough, you know? Mark DeCasey, who, you know what I mean? You know, and his last loss is to Armin Sarukian. But Drakkar Klose is just really fucking good. Joaquim Silva wobbled the fuck... Like, Joaquim Silva did better against Sarukian than Joel Alvarez did against Sarukian. And while Joaquim Silva did lose, Drakkar Klose whooped Joaquim Silva. I think it's like MMA math here. But on top of that, Klose isn't bad, you know? Like, he's knocking out the comp he's a little inactive, to be fair, and he's a little older. But he's knocking out the people he's supposed to knock out, like Joe Selecki. And yeah, he did get knocked out by Beneil Dariush quite a while ago. Where was it, 2020? Yeah, 2020 he got knocked out by Beneil Dariush nearly 5 years ago at this point. But he was whooping Beneil Dariush's ass. Almost had him done early on, and that was early Beneil Dariush, who wasn't necessarily the chinniest fighter of all time. So, you know, while Drakkar Klose isn't the most active, I think he's taking fights he knows he can win. And I really like to see that in a fighter. And his losses are pretty much to who? It's Beneil Dariush. Who's the other one? Did he lose? Has he even lost in the last 4 years? He hasn't. Yeah, let me just make sure. Who's his other loss? Is it in the UFC? It is. To that person in 2017. You know what I mean? Like 8 years ago. Who cares? So, I think Drakkar Klose has the skills to pay the bills, and I think he's going to be able to get this done. I think he knocks out Joe Selecki. You know, Drakkar Klose, I think, is coming off a slam KO. I think Drakkar Klose is just going to be the better overall fighter here. And beat Joel Alvarez. Did I say Joe Selecki or whatever his name is? My bad. Anyways, yeah, I think he smokes Joel Alvarez here. I think he probably gets it done by KO. Joel Alvarez just doesn't look that great out there. You know? And he's definitely not high level. I think Drakkar Klose could probably get back in the rankings. I think that's where Drakkar Klose kind of caps out. Like that Jalen Turner level. You know, once we get to the Jalen Turners, then it's like a 50-50. But for now, it's kind of like a 75-25. Drakkar Klose probably gets the first finish of the card, unless a women's fight gets it. Yeah, that's funny. Women getting finishes in fights. Anyways, moving on, we have Michael Johnson. Good old Michael Johnson versus Ottman Izaitar. Michael Johnson's getting old. You know, and while his grappling looked really good against Darius Flowers, and Darius Flowers isn't like, he's Darius Flowers, I get that, but he's not that bad. Michael Johnson is still probably one of the chinniest fighters in the UFC. It's really hard to pick Michael Johnson in any matchup ever. Oh wow, Prado put out a Zaitar, eh? Ooh, that changes things. That really changes things. Prado's good, but like Prado's not like crazy on the feet. Ooh, this is two chinny boys against each other, eh? This is rough. I'm gonna go with. This is probably. I'm gonna guess Michael Johnson's like a favorite. I don't look at odds. I think I'm gonna go with Michael Johnson. Now I know Michael Johnson is chinny as fuck. Like he is like. Definitely one of the chinniest. His chin has been on 1 HP for about 9 years, right? But I do think skill wise he's the overall better fighter, and I think Michael Johnson I think Michael Johnson in his last performance showcased he will do whatever it takes to like kind of get the win that he needs. So yeah, I think Michael Johnson's just a better overall fighter. Definitely the more well-proven one. And I think he can at least out-grapple Ottman Izaitar, you know? But if worse comes to worse, I think even a 38-year-old Johnson might be able to knock out Izaitar. Maybe, you know? Yeah, I'm going with Michael Johnson by... I'm gonna get a little wacky and say he gets a submission, probably round 2. You know, I can see round 1, it just looks like Izaitar has no idea what he's doing on the ground, and then Michael Johnson sits down with his corner, and his corner's like, yo, just lock in the rear naked. This guy does not know shit on the ground. And then he just locks in a rear naked choke by getting the back in round 2. Probably mid to late round 2. But yeah, anyways. Voice crack too. Holy fuck, this is not my... Listen, it's been a rough couple weeks, okay, guys? You know? It's, you know... Jesus Christ, that was a really bad voice crack. Oh my god. Anyways, moving on. We have, yeah, Sterling versus Tuco Tacos. Is this a debut? Light heavyweight? For fuck's sakes. Of course it's a fucking debut. Oh my god. I'm gonna go with Sterling only because I have never seen Sterling. He's young, it's light heavyweight, and Tuco Tacos looks like shit in every fight. Yeah, Umar Sy whooped his ass. Yeah. I remember that one. Yeah, Tuco Tacos is just not that good, I think. We've got a little bit of Claudio Ribeiro, I think, in Tuco Tacos. That's kind of like what I think of when I see this guy's style. But yeah, I think I'm trusting just the guy I haven't seen before who's the same height with a bigger reach advantage, younger, 5-0. I'm going with that guy. You know, again, I don't make bets. That's just my pick. I'm not doing that fucking research on whoever the fuck this Sterling kid is. Anyways, is it Sterling? Yeah, it is Sterling. Anyways, Adrian Yanez versus Daniel Marcos. Now, this is interesting because Daniel Marcos really isn't that good. I know he's winning and I know he's flawless. Raw to Quang Keelang Iori. You know, I'm really bad with names if you couldn't have told. If you couldn't tell. You know, bunch of canceled fights. I don't think these are all because of Daniel Marcos. I think one of them is. I don't think they're all because of Daniel Marcos. Kind of wasting his prime, not gonna lie, by getting all these canceled fights. And his only win in the UFC is John Castaneda. Huh. I know Yanez has been, like, getting fraud checked, but, like, Daniel Marcos really isn't that good. I think this is going to be a case where Yanez fraud checks the guy who hasn't been fraud checked yet. Or, sorry, Yanez gets fraud checked. Or he fraud checks after being fraud checked. You know what I mean? Like, Rob Font, fraud checked Adrian Yanez. I think, you know, Jonathan Martinez also did really well against Adrian Yanez. Found out that Yanez is just bad at leg kicks. I don't think Daniel Marcos has anywhere near the level of leg kicks that Jonathan Martinez has. And I don't think Daniel Marcos has anywhere near the skill set of a Rob Font. I think Daniel Marcos is really overrated. I'm going to go with Yanez. I think Yanez is going to get it done. And I'm going to say he gets it done by KO. I think Yanez does have some crisp boxing. I think he's gaining a little bit more confidence. He is coming off a win, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah, he's coming off a win against Vinicius Salvador. Not a crazy win, but it's a win, and it's a knockout. You love seeing it. Yanez is kind of chinny, but I trust him to get it done, you know? I've seen Yanez fight, and I've been like, okay, this guy can be something. When I see Daniel Marcos, I'm like, okay, not really impressed, you know? I think Yanez could cap out somewhere near the... Like, I think Yanez could give Kyler Phillips a run for his money. I don't think Daniel Marcos is anywhere near unranked bantamweight yet. But I kind of like this. This is two kind of not unproven, I guess. Kind of unproven prospects. I think Yanez is still a prospect, even though he did get fraud checked a little bit, just in terms of a ranking status. But... like, people forget, man, Rob Font's really good. I picked Rob Font in his last fight against Kyler Phillips, where everyone was saying that Kyler Phillips is going to whoop Rob Font and all this other shit. Yeah, terrible takes from the MMA community from what I saw. But yeah, I'm going to go with Adrian Yanez. I like him. I think he gets it done. I can trust him with the level of skill I've seen. Yeah, I think Adrian Yanez gets it done. And, yeah, I'm going with Yanez by KO. I think you'll get a round 2 KO, I think. I think early round 2. I can see, like, first round, it's, like, a little close, you know, maybe Daniel Marcos gets a little bit of hugging against the fence. Adrian Yanez is starting to get, like, a little bit of hands going, but every time he gets, like, shoved against the fence, and then eventually in round 2, when we get a start off, Daniel Marcos tries to maybe get a clinch going or something. Yanez lands a clean uppercut or a clean hook over the top of the guard of Daniel Marcos and wobbles him pretty badly, and then eventually puts him away. But yeah, I'm going Adrian Yanez. Moving on, we have Vitor Petrino versus Dustin Jacoby. Vitor Petrino sucks. I've said he's always sucked since he entered the UFC. He fought Tyson Pedro when Tyson Pedro was retiring, and he didn't want any smoke. Wow, Vitor Petrino's been around for a while, huh? He beat Turkali. Turkali sucks. He beat Prachnio. Prachnio sucks. He beat Modestas Butkauskis. Modestas sucks. And then he beats Tyson Pedro, a guy who's literally trying to retire, shoots a shitty takedown, gets gillied. Worst performance you could ever see from a fighter. I think that's killed all of his hype. I think he has no aura whatsoever. Aura completely gone. Buried in the dirt. And I think Dustin Jacoby getting outstruck by Dominic Reyes kind of sucks for Jacoby, because Dominic Reyes isn't a crazy striker. But I think Jacoby's still a good striker, and I think he's going to be able to get something going here. Vitor Petrino is younger. Dustin Jacoby is kind of chinny now. I think Dustin Jacoby's actually going to win this fight, and I'm going to pick Dustin Jacoby by another KO. I think this is going to be a case where a 12-6 elbow comes into play. Vitor Petrino's hugging Dustin Jacoby against the fence. And I think Dustin Jacoby, probably in round 3, is going to start really landing those elbows to the temple of Vitor Petrino. And we're going to see a very Gelton Almeida versus Curtis Blades sort of fight going, where Jacoby's got, like, some good takedown defense for most of the fight. And then it looks like he's kind of, it's like maybe 1-1 going to the third, or it's 2-0 Vitor Petrino because of control time and takedowns and stuff. And I think Jacoby's going to get his elbows, his 12-6 elbows going in the clinch, and he's just going to elbow behind the ear and just knock out Vitor Petrino that way, and he goes out cold. Because I think Vitor Petrino also is chinny. He hasn't been knocked out yet, of course. He doesn't look like he's a good striker in any fight, to be honest. And Dustin Jacoby is he's at least kickboxing pro level striker. At least, right? At least. He was like number 2 in the world at some point. He's been knocked out by Alex Pereira. It is what it is in kickboxing. Dustin Jacoby is at least a good striker. Vitor Petrino doesn't look like he's good anywhere. So, I'm going with Dustin Jacoby. I think it gets it done probably round 3 KO. Off a sloppy takedown where Vitor Petrino's just hugging for dear life and Jacoby gets him 12-6 going. Yeah, anyways, moving on. We have Manel Kape versus Bruno Silva. Manel auraless Kape after that last performance. Now this Bruno Silva, not to be confused with the low IQ, brain-dead middleweight Bruno Silva. This one is pretty decent. Knocking out Cody Durden is a good win. Even though Cody Durden kind of shit the bed in his last performance. This is flyweight, so all of them are kind of good. Submission on Tyson Nam is what it is. Is Tyson Nam the sexy Mexican? I think he is. Sexy Mexi Tyson Nam. You know, Bruno Silva's been around for a little bit, to be fair. He's not really fighting great competition, but he is, like, he's losing to people he's supposed to lose to, I would say. Like, the guards of the division he's losing to. So I think Manel Kape does get this done. I think this is going to be a 29-28 situation where Manel Kape looks good in 2 rounds. Or, sorry, Manel Kape, I'm predicting to have one extremely dominant round. He's going to have one really close round that it's like, okay, Manel Kape edges it by a little bit because of a knockdown or because of a little bit of outstriking. Because Manel Kape isn't a bad striker. And I think Bruno Silva's probably going to get 1 or 2 moments of like, oh my god, Manel was just wobbled. You know, because Manel has lost by KO before. Manel's not like invincible to strikers, you know? You just have to have some sort of heat in your hand. And I think Bruno Silva has okay power. It's flyweight, doesn't really take too much to have okay power, but at least Bruno Silva's a little battle tested. So I think this is going to be a decision. I think 29-28, Manel Kape. maybe even a split decision, and people are just gonna say how auralist Manel Cap is. But yeah, if I'm gonna be rooting for Manel Cap, I hope he gets a dominant decision where it's a high-paced fight, and then we can have Manel Cap, Kaya Sakura maybe, 3. So yeah, I think it'd be interesting. But yeah, Manel Cap, Bruno Silva, going Manel Cap, probably a 29-28 decision. Moving on, we have Cub Swampson versus Billy Quarantillo. I think Billy Q's actually pretty good. I know people shit on him, and I know he looks like a Matt Wahlberg, you know, Mark Wahlberg, whatever the fuck his name is. I get that, but his losses aren't that bad, you know? Like, decision on Damon Jackson, where everyone was picking Damon to beat fucking, what's his name, Jim Miller? Honestly, sometimes these MMA community guys, crazy. Anyways, Edson Barbosa, Billy Q. Edson got that wicked KO. That's when Edson was, you know, being the gatekeeper he needed to be. And he lost to Yusuf Zalal. These are not bad losses, you know? These are aging pretty well. Except for the Edson Barbosa thing. I think Billy Q doesn't have a great chin, but he's got good skills. And I think at the end of the day, that's going to be what the difference is here. Cub Swanson, you know, if Andre Philly is, like, beating you by decision, not that that's bad, but, like, Andre Philly will never be ranked. Billy Q, I think, could sneak a rank 15, you know? Hakeem Dawodu, whoever the fuck that is, right? Versus, didn't he whoop? I think I'm thinking of someone else. But regardless, Cub, he's been through a lot. I just think Billy Q's gonna be slightly more ahead everywhere, personally. You know, same reach. Billy Q's gonna be a little bit higher. Cub is kind of like a short dude, even though their heights aren't that different. Cub kind of just looks smaller in there. He's gonna be older. He is 41. Like, I think this is just gonna be a retirement fight, and I think Billy Q's probably gonna get it done. I think it'll probably be a dominant 30-27. Billy Q. Yeah, I think Billy Q is probably just gonna be faster everywhere. He might not be better skillfully than Cub Swanson overall, but I think he's gonna be faster. He's going to be more explosive. He's going to be getting those takedowns. He's going to be getting the back. I don't think 41-year-old Cub Swanson is going to get Billy Quarantillo's back, being honest. But yeah, that's my prediction. Moving on to the main event. Now, I did an early prediction, kind of changed it. Colby Covington versus Joaquin Buckley. I'm going with Joaquin Buckley by 49-48. Colby Covington gets 1 round and says it's a robbery. Now, the reason why I'm not going with Joaquin Buckley by KO, that I think Colby actually has a pretty decent chin. I know he got KO'd by, what's his face, Kamaru Usman. Didn't really get KO'd, but that's what people call it, you know? A little bit of a weird stoppage. But regardless, Joaquin Buckley is dangerous. I think he is good. I think he has got a better chin now in his, like, sort of prime age of 30. And I think Colby Covington has no heat in his hands. There's no way for Colby Covington to finish this fight. So he's locked in the cage with Joaquin Buckley for 5 rounds. And I think Buckley's been specifically training for 5 rounds. So I know a lot of people are going to be picking Buckley by KO, but I have this feeling that Joaquin Buckley is like, no, it's a 5-round fight. I'm going to slow it down, and I'm just going to make sure I'm ahead every round. And that's what I think the game plan is going to be for Buckley. Because Colby, while he does have a good pace, earlier in his career against really shit level comp, but were good at the time, like a Tyron Woodley. I was blanking on his fucking name for a minute there. Like a Tyron Woodley, you know, and he arguably made it close with Kamaru Usman and shit. I respect it, but I think at this point in both their careers, I think Joaquin Buckley might actually just be better than Kamaru Usman. And I think Joaquin Buckley isn't taking any chances, especially after seeing that Shavkat performance. I think Joaquin Buckley is going to be smart to just like, okay, I'm just going to win this fight, and then I'm going to smoke Shavkat, and then I'm going to be a big name. I think that's where Joaquin Buckley's sort of head space is, you know? And if Shavkat does beat Bilal, I do think Buckley's style is the one to beat Shavkat. A really dangerous striker on the feet who's not afraid to, like, blitz in, you know? Same with Shavkat. But yeah, I do think Buckley's got the skills to pay the bills here. I think Colby Covington, He's just old, inexperienced at this point, not active. There's not really much to go off of other than that. If you are picking Colby Covington, you're probably just hoping and coping. Colby Covington still got his prime back. It's gone. It's gone, guys. It is gone. But yeah, I'm going with Joaquin Buckley. I think he gets it done comfortably. 4-1 on the scorecards, I think, is Joaquin Buckley. I think Colby might have one round, or there'll be a close round, and they'll give it to Colby Covington for whatever reason. But yeah, Buckley's got the height advantage. Or wait, what? He doesn't have. Oh yeah, right. Never mind. My apologies. I forgot Buckley is like a short king. He is like 5'8", I think. He's actually my height, I believe. But his reach is kind of what I'm looking at. His reach is kind of insane for his height. He's got that little Tyson style he's got where he's blitzing in a little bit. I do think he probably knocks down Colby Covington for a clear round. I just can't see a TKO because I think Colby Covington, this performance is probably just going to be Colby trying to live. You know? His last performance was just trying to showcase he's still a contender. He's not really against Leon Edwards. This performance, I think Colby's just going to try to find ways to live. Like, just to survive in that cage. And I think he'll call it a win for himself. Who knows? Maybe he retires. Hopefully he retires and stops yapping. But yeah, anyways, regardless, with all that being said, those are my picks and predictions. I'm going Joaquin Buckley by decision. Those are my pick and predictions for Colby Covington versus Joaquin Buckley. I'm excited for the card. Final card of the year. Not much else to say. But yeah, with all that being said, if you're new around here, I daily upload. I do picks and predictions on every fight card. A little bit of an MMA style YouTuber, but, I pretty much post whatever I kind of am passionate about. But yeah, with all that being said, I want to thank you for watching. And as always, I hope you have a good day.